Hi there. We're going to try something a little bit different today, just for, just do something a bit different. My name is Grant. This is Grant Loves Books. If you would like to leave a tip because you enjoy what I'm doing and you like the videos, you can leave a tip down below. Today, bookcase tour. Is that the right phrase? The White Tiger by Aravind Adiga. Won the Booker Prize 2008. There's a movie, but who cares? Indian book about Indian society. Quite good. Interesting book. I don't know why I picked this one up. I know I got this one in like a charity shop for $1. Notes from a Dark Street, a novel by Edward Adler. Not on any of my lists. I think I picked this one up because born in New York City in 1920, Edward Adler's experience has been a varied assortment of jobs, including a grocer, draftsman, cab driver, and counterman. As a first lieutenant in the Air Force during World War II, he served for 3 years in Europe. If the author was a soldier, I have to buy it. Anyone who served in the military, the books that they wrote tended to be the ones that I loved. Death of a Hero by Richard Aldington. This is on my 2024 TBR list, so I'm going to be reading this soon, hopefully making a review of it if it turns out to be amazing. I think it will be amazing because Richard Aldington was married to Hilda Doolittle, the famous American poet. Aldington and Doolittle, HD, they were big friends with Ezra Pound when Ezra Pound was developing his theory of like literature and modernism and imagism. Pound gets all the credit, but it was actually the three of them who were young writers who were developing new theories of literature. So Pound gets all the credit and Aldington's forgotten. HD, she pops up now and again. Here's a writer. I keep bringing home his books. I don't spend a lot of money on them. Most of these books that I get are from charity shops and I only buy them for $1. Like this one I got from the public library for 50 cents. Kingsley Amis, You Can't Do Both. Kingsley Amis, Ending Up. There's the man, Martin Amis's father. I don't know, there's something about him that he represents another generation. Like there was something about his generation of post-Second World War writers who are trying to do something interesting with literature. What was his most famous book? Lucky Jim. That was good. Lucky Jim was good. Like Lucky Jim was really a weird and wild and unique book, and that was what I believe Kingsley Amis wanted to do. He wanted to write literature that was unlike other literature that you've read, and that's a noble goal to have for a writer. Winesburg, Ohio by Sherwood Anderson. I don't think I'm going to be able to read this because it's just too decrepit. I saw it in the charity shop for $1 and I wanted to have it. This was one of the first books of literature that I read when I was getting into literature. Like when I put all of the horror fiction in the past and I said, I'm never going to read that shit ever again. Now I'm going to read literature for the rest of my life. This was one of the first books that I read and made me very happy with my decision because this is magical. Don Casmurro by Machado de Assis. This book is very special to me because it was given to me by one of my ESL students. I was teaching for a little while in Vancouver. Mainly the students came from Japan, Korea, and Brazil. The student, he was so friendly and he was so outgoing and just kind, open-hearted person. And he saw me reading and he asked me, do you like reading? I said, yes, I do. He said, have you ever read any Brazilian authors? I said, no, I never have. To the best of my knowledge, I've never heard of any. And he brought me this, this brand new edition, and I read it and just loved it. I didn't get too much love and affection from my students, but occasionally, I would make a connection with one of the students and it was, I'm a hard person to get along with. So whenever a student did kind of respond to my prickly personality and they could see that there was actually, a decent person hiding behind the gruff surface, really, it kind of chokes me up a little bit when I remember that, this young man gave me this because he was proud of the literature of his country, and he should be. This is brilliant. This one also from Machado de Assis, The Posthumous Memoirs of Browski West. I haven't read this one yet, though. Now, here we go with some Canadian content. Most of the books I buy that I have here, I buy them for $1 in charity shops because we've got a shitload of charity shops in Canada because we have an aging population, people die, their relatives come by to clean out their old house, apartment, and they just take all their old junk down to the charity shop And so we've got a surplus of great books. I don't think these are great books, but they're popular books. Neither of those books have been read. You could see by the sharpness of their, oh, that one must have been a library book at some time. December 1988. Where were you? Margaret Atwood, you know, she's the famous Canadian artist, Lady Oracle, Alias Grace. When I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to focus on Canadian writing because I think it's underappreciated in the world, and we do have some great Canadian authors. Somehow, when I started my YouTube channel, I just started discovering all of these other great books and artists. And I really haven't. I've made so few videos about any Canadian content. It's a bit of a shame. I will eventually. Margaret Atwood, she's so popular, but I don't like her. Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. I had that for university, but I read it before. It's good, and it's fun to read at university to, get all the little, nitty gritty. I bought this one because I thought I might read this one at university, Persuasion. There was a Jane Austen class where the teacher taught, I think she made the students read 7 Jane Austen novels in a semester, like 2 novels a month, which is highly unusual at the university that I attend, or even I think universities generally today. They don't put such a massive reading list onto the kids. So when this teacher announced that she was going to do 7 novels in a semester, it was amazing that she got any students at all. Although I don't think they knew that when they registered for the class. She just said it was a Jane Austen class, and then on the first day she said, all right, 7 novels, you better get reading. Will I read this? I guess if I live to be 100, I'll read it eventually. Beryl Bainbridge, The Dressmaker. Another novel that is just, I don't think anyone's read that. Like, look how sharp the edges are. Look at those faded old pages. It's all right though, the technology still works. I read The Bottle Factory Outing, and I didn't like it. It's that silly, high-flying 1970s literature that is really comedic, but a little bit dark. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, a little bit like Monty Python in written form. It's not so much fun to read that kind of stuff. But, let's give her a second chance. Let's read another book. Maybe this one will be more to my liking. Might be, I don't know. Haven't read it yet. All right, Balzac. A harlot, high and low. Oh God. What kind of a harlot is that? God, this is an ugly old copy. Oh, it's long. 550 pages. Good God. Cousin Bet, I read that last year, and I did a review of it if you're interested. It wasn't my favorite Balzac, but it's still good. This one confused me for a little while because Balzac wrote this series of like 90 titles, books, short stories called The Human Comedy, La Comédie Humaine. And this is a collection of short stories called The Human Comedy. Short stories, which is interesting because I've only read novels by Balzac. So that'll be fun to read, I hope. This is really the ultimate Balzac. This is the one that most people read. When I was living in Budapest, I read this book in, I think, 2001. And while I was reading it, everybody who saw me reading it would say, oh, wow, I read that in high school, which was wonderful for me. So, 2001, that was a long time ago. So I need to read this one again. Somehow I thought it was longer. Pere Goriot is Balzac's greatest novel. Okay, there you go. For sheer power and insight into human motivations and drives, it is unsurpassed in realistic literature. I really like Eugène Grandet. So far that nothing has really topped that one, but I'm eager to read this one again too, because I think this one is the best. The Wild Ass's Skin. I really like Balzac, in case you can't tell. Julian Barnes, A History of the World in 10.5 chapters. That's on some list of something. Maybe it was shortlisted for the Booker Award. I think I've read Julian Barnes, and it's sort of that modern, goofy British, wow, look at all the words I know. Look at all the wild and crazy references to other things in British culture that you may or may not, probably haven't heard of. Boy, aren't I so clever that I know all these references and I know all these words. That's generally how I feel about Julian Barnes. I'll read it though. I just haven't got around to it yet. Arnold Bennett, The Old Wives' Tale. I read this 2 years ago and it was amazing. Quite old, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to enjoy reading this today. I enjoyed it. It's just that with these old, slow-moving novels, it's especially when they're 650 pages, it's best to take them in big doses. Like I would read this book 50 pages a day, because that was the best way to do it. To read a little bit here and a little bit on the bus and a little bit while I'm brushing my teeth, that's not the way to read a big book like this. You've got to get into it and just spend a lot of time in here to get what it's going to give you. I liked it. Yeah, it's worth the effort you put into reading this book. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I read that last year, yeah. Wuthering Heights. It surprised me because everybody talks about what an amazing love story it is, and I didn't find it to be a love story. I did a review of this one, or I talked about it in my 2023 TBR roundup video if you want to know my thoughts on this. It's great, it's just that it's not a love story. Bill Bryson, The Road to Little Dribbling. Oh man, there was a period in my life where I just loved Bill Bryson, and I would just read absolutely everything. Even the one he wrote about the English language, mother tongue, and then the other one he wrote about the American English language. I forget what that one's called, but both of those were just so perfectly written. Like you could just feel how much he loves the language to write these books that were so funny and so insightful. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bill Bryson, but like I haven't read anything for like 20 years. 20 years? 15 years. So I'm wondering how much I'm going to appreciate, to enjoy going back to it. But why not? I think Bill Bryson is something you could read at any stage in your life and get something good from it. Possession by A.S. Byatt. This won the Booker Award in when was it? I don't know. Wow, what a nice edition. I read this in Budapest and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a bit romantic for my taste, but still it was kind of exciting. Yeah, and I'll read it again. Bit of a sadness in my life. It's not a sadness, it's just that the first time you read a book is just the first experience, and it's really going back to the book a second time and a third time to really get into it. If you don't like the book, okay, you just say, okay, I don't need to come back to this one because it's not my thing. But like if you liked it, that means you've got to read it a second time at least. The Book of Eve. This is another one of those Canadian books. Book of Eve was first published with little fanfare in 1973. Nice, down-to-earth, good Canadian honesty. Since then, millions of readers have met and been enthralled with Eva, the spunky 65-year-old who decides one day to walk out of her soul-destroying marriage and make it on her own. In a basement room in a downtown boarding house, she finds independence with a crazy, exuberant Hungarian. God, there's Hungarians all over the place in literature. For such a small country and a population of 10 million Hungarians in Hungary, an additional 5 million outside of Hungary, they are overly represented in literature. Of all of the nationalities, like foreign nationalities you meet that get thrown into novels, Hungarians they pop up every single time. There was a big diaspora in 1956 because of the fucking Russians. In a basement room in a downtown boarding house, she finds independence with a crazy, exuberant Hungarian half-arrange. She finds love. Some Canadian thing. Maybe it's good. The Hungarian thing always makes it particularly interesting for me. How to Read and Why by Harold Bloom. It's a bit of a shame I haven't read this one yet, but I will. Heinrich Boll, The Silent Angel. It was 50 cents at the library, so I picked it up. 50 cents, you can't just leave it there. This one's really a strange one because it's that Bolaño 2666 book, but it's only this one. There should be another one and another one. When you see this for $1 in the charity shop, well, what can I do? I mean, it's like part 5, so I'm missing all the other parts. I would love to have the other pieces of this because I like Bolaño a little bit. Not crazy about him, but I do like him, and I think he's a great writer. What can I do? Like I asked them, I said, don't you have the other ones? I said, no, just that one. Really? Someone brought in just this alone? They bring them in a big box. We open the box. Those are the books they donated. We put them on the shelf, man. Like, what do you, this poor kid. What are you asking me? I put the books on the shelf. I don't examine them. So I've got that one lonely installment of the 2666 by Bolaño. Maybe I'll never read that because that's, I have to read the series. I can't just read one little portion of it. And this other one that I just picked up recently, from the same charity shop actually, The Third Reich by Roberto Bolaño. So someone who lives around that area likes Bolaño, they buy the books, but then they give them away to the charity shop, so they don't like them too much. Like I read The Savage Detectives, and I had I had a hard time with it, but enjoyed it and respected it for the artistry. But I guess it made me curious enough to want to read a lot more Bolaño to see what else he's got. And the last one, not really the last one, but it's the last one for you, because the last one that's really sitting there, I'm going to keep that one a secret. Labyrinths by Jorge Luis Borges. Labyrinths, famous collection of short stories by Borges. What's that? Can you see that? Dear readers, we apologize for the printer's error, whereby page 190 was deleted from this printing of Labyrinths. The correct page. What? The correct page. Oh, and there's the page right there. Yeah, there you go. There's one more, but that's a secret book that I don't want to show you because that's a secret book and you're not going to see it. Bookshelf, tour, top shelf, left-hand side of the bookcase. Was that interesting for you? Can you tell that this whole video I've really had to go to the bathroom and should have gone before I started filming? I've been dancing around like a poodle on his back legs because I have to go to the toilet because I drank too much beer. Cheers, guys. I just thought I'd give it a shot. I don't even know what the video is going to look like because I think the camera is too close to my big fat face. If you like this and you want me to do more, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could do 7 more if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Grant. I'm not going to do a book lottery this time because I don't want to give you any of those. I could give you some, but I don't want to because I want to end the video right now and go to the toilet. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Grant.